Have you ever wondered why you feel like this?
Why every day you drag that heavy feeling that you don't know whether to call sadness, emptiness, or simply weariness? You don't say it out loud, of course not, but you feel it. You hide it behind forced smiles, empty conversations, plans that deep down don't matter to you. You tell yourself it might just be a rough patch, a passing storm, a bad day that has lasted too long. But the reality is that you wake up every morning with that invisible sting, that you don't know where it comes from, but it's always there like a constant echo in your chest. You wonder if you have depression, if you are broken inside, if something is wrong with you on such a deep level that you don't even know how to explain it. And here's where the truly unsettling part begins. You don't have depression. No, not as you've been led to believe. What you have is something much darker, more treacherous, more tangled in the roots of your being. You are at war, in a silent and brutal war against yourself. And you don't even know it. You've built an enemy within your own mind, and every day, without realizing it, you hand over the weapons with which it attacks you. You are your own battlefield, your own judge, your own executioner. And the worst part is that you do it with a mastery that borders on perfection. You believe it's the world that drags you, that it's the circumstances, that it's life that insists on putting stones in your path. But the truth that hurts to the bone, is that you are the architect of your own chains. Every self-critical thought, every doubt that you allow to take root, every excessive expectation that you impose on yourself, are knives you drive into your own back. No one put them there, you did. You do it every day, and you keep doing it. Now while you listen to me, the intrigue of all this is that you know it, but you don't want to admit it. You feel that something doesn't fit, like you're a defective piece in a mechanism that should never have been made. But in reality, you function exactly as you were programmed to function, as a perfect saboteur of your own peace. You've learned to question every last thought, to view every small achievement with distrust, to bury every flicker of pride under mountains of self-criticism. And do you know why? Because at some point, you decided it was safer to attack yourself first. Before the world did it, you prevented external harm by developing an internal harm that never stops bleeding. You thought it was a shield, but it was a dagger. Listen closely to these words, because they are not casual. There is something inside of you that is slowly devouring you, disguised as prudence, humility, perfectionism, but deep down it's fear. Fear of not living up to your own impossible expectations. Fear of facing the reality that it's not the universe that oppresses you, but you yourself, tightening the rope around your mental neck a little more every day. And this is where Schopenhauer comes in, like a specter whispering uncomfortable truths into the ears of those who dare to listen. He understood something that you felt, but don't know how to put into words. That the greatest battle of the human being is not against the outside world, but against the storms that rage inside their own head. Think about this: if the threat were outside, you could escape, you could run, change cities, environments, friendships, jobs. But the real tragedy is that you carry the battlefield inside you, stuck to your consciousness like a shadow that never lifts. No matter where you go, no matter where you travel, that war travels with you, because it's not outside, it's in the invisible trenches of your mind. It's a silent war without flags, without anthems, without truces. And the most twisted part of all is that you've become so accustomed to the sound of internal explosions that you don't even notice them anymore. You've normalized them, you've normalized the chaos. You wake up every day carrying a weight that doesn't belong to you. You walk with your head down, as if the mere act of existing were a guilt you must atone for, with every step. But that guilt didn't come from nowhere. You cultivated it yourself, watering it with your insecurities, pruning it with your fears, strengthening it with your complicit silences. Because let's be honest, it's easier to punish yourself than to forgive yourself. Fierce self-criticism seems more natural to you than even the slightest act of compassion toward yourself. Why? Because you've been trained for it. Because since you were a child, you were told that being hard on yourself was the only way to improve. They taught you that self-indulgence was dangerous, but they never warned you about the slow poison of self-annihilation. This is the point where most people turn off the video, where they prefer not to hear anymore, because the truth starts to hurt too much. But not you. You're still here because deep down, you know I'm describing something you've been feeling for years. Something you've never known how to explain, but that you recognize in every word. You're still here because you suspect that this internal war is not invincible. Because a part of you, the quietest but also the strongest part, resists continuing to be a hostage of its own fear. And let me tell you something that no one has dared to confess to you. That part of you that wants to fight, that spark that still survives in the ashes, is more powerful than all the fears that have changed you so far. You are not lacking courage. You just need to recognize that you already have it. The question you should ask yourself is not why you feel like this, but for what? What are you keeping yourself in this perpetual state of war? For what do you gain by sharpening weapons against yourself every day? What secret reward do you find in that constant pain? Because even though you don't admit it, there is a hidden benefit in your self-destruction. The perfect excuse not to face what you truly fear. While you're busy fighting against yourself, you don't have to face the world. While you're trapped in your own battle, you don't need to risk losing in the outside world. It's comfortable in its own twisted way. It's a refuge that burns, but one you know so well that you're afraid to leave it. And here comes the revelation that will change the way you see your entire life. You're not fighting to destroy yourself. You're fighting to wake up. What you call suffering is the price of being awake. In a world that prefers anesthesia, your internal war is proof that you haven't completely surrendered yet, that you still have strength to challenge your own chains. Schopenhauer knew it. Life is pain, but it's also challenge. And the greatest challenge is not surviving pain, but transforming it into power. It's not escaping the war, it's learning to master it, to turn every wound into a silent metal you carry beneath your skin. Now look at yourself. Yes, really, look at yourself, even if you don't have a mirror in front of you. Observe yourself from the distance of these words. Do you recognize the weary, but undefeated warrior who stands within you? Do you recognize the spark that, despite everything, still burns deep inside your internal ruins? That spark is not a coincidence. It is your essence. It is the irrefutable proof that you are not defeated. You are just fighting the battle that truly matters, the battle for yourself. Welcome to the war you didn't know you were fighting. And get ready, because this journey is only just beginning. Now that you've opened your eyes to this silent war, there's something even more unsettling you need to understand. There is an enemy within this battlefield that is much more dangerous than your own dark thoughts. It's subtle, almost invisible. It's like a poison that doesn't attack directly, but weakens your internal defenses little by little, until you start to confuse it with your own voice. This enemy is called self-deception. Yes, that's simple and that brutal. It's not sadness that is tearing you apart. It's not the anxiety that creeps like a dense fog in your mornings. It's the mirage you've built to justify why you're still trapped in this loop. You've told yourself the same story so many times that you've started to believe it. You've repeated endlessly that you can't change, that the circumstances overwhelm you, that the burden is too heavy for your shoulders, and that story has become your favorite prison. Let me take you deeper, because we're not here to scratch the surface. If we only scratch, we'll just see dust. But if we dare to dig beyond what is comfortable for you, we'll find the root of this self-destruction, camouflaged as resignation. What you haven't wanted to accept is that deep down, there's a part of you that enjoys this victim role. And not because you're weak, but because it's addictive. Self-pity is a silent drug. It gives you an excuse not to act. It allows you to receive pity without having to expose your true vulnerability. It's a ruinous refuge, but it's still a refuge. While you pity yourself, you avoid the risk of trying to change and failing. It's easier to say I'm like this than to ask yourself why you keep choosing to be this way every day. Listen closely. Comfort is the greatest enemy of growth. Not external comfort, not material luxuries or predictable routines. I'm talking about internal comfort, that mental space where you feel safe even though it's destroying you. You've learned to survive inside your pain because the pain, scares you less than the emptiness on the other side of change. You don't know what's there, and human beings by nature fear the unknown. You prefer the known prison to the unknown abyss of freedom. But that abyss is not the end, it's the beginning. The mind is an expert at disguising its prisons as fortresses. It tells you that the armor of cynicism you wear is protection, when in reality it's a cage. It whispers that distrusting everything keeps you safe, but what it does is isolate you. It convinces you that you don't need to try, because failing would be devastating, when in reality not trying is the true catastrophe. Do you realize the magnitude of this self-deception? It's like you're the guardian of your own cell, and every time the door to possibility opens, you're the one who closes it from the inside. Now I want you to visualize something. Imagine for a moment that you could peel away all those layers of justification, that you could see with absolute clarity what part of your suffering is real and what part is manufactured by your mind to keep you within the zone you control. What would remain? I'll tell you a version of yourself you haven't met yet. A version of you that is not defined by pain or internal struggle, but by the ability to transcend it. Because here's the brutal irony of this whole matter. The war you're waging against yourself cannot be won with more internal violence. You can't defeat fire by adding more fire. You need another strategy. You need to become the observer of your own battle, not one of its blind soldiers. And this is where the true power of this understanding starts to reveal itself. When you stop fighting against yourself reactively and begin to observe your own mental movements, you become a strategist, no longer the soldier, frantically running from one side of the battlefield to the other, but the commander who understands every move before making it. You begin to anticipate your own sabotages, to deactivate the traps you've set. Do you know what that is? It's the beginning of self-mastery, and believe me, there is no more lethal weapon in this war than that. But I don't want you to misinterpret my words. Mastering yourself doesn't mean repressing yourself. It doesn't mean drowning your emotions until they disappear. It means understanding them so deeply that they stop controlling you. It means seeing the wave of fierce self-criticism coming, and instead of letting it drag you, learning to surf it. It means recognizing when you're falling into the pit of self-deception and having the courage to grab the rope of truth, even if it burns your hands. Because I warn you right now, the truth stings, the truth doesn't caress. It burns, but that burn is purifying. That burn forges you. There's an even deeper point we can't ignore. And that is while you're engrossed in this internal struggle. Time doesn't stop. It doesn't wait for you to resolve your conflict, to keep moving forward. Life continues relentless, dragging you along whether you like it or not. The days wear on, the years dissolve, And before you know it, you become someone who lived an entire existence at war with themselves, without ever shooting a single bullet toward their true goals. Do you see it? This is the ultimate trap. The internal struggle consumes you so much that you forget to fight for what you really want. You spend years fighting ghosts you created yourself, while your real dreams die from starvation. Let me say it even more clearly. Your worst enemy is not your sadness. It's not your fear. It's not your anxiety. It's your distraction, that constant distraction that diverts your attention from what matters to the fireworks of your own doubts. It's like being on a sinking boat and spending all your energy arguing with your reflection. Instead of bailing out the water coming in through the cracks, you become a prisoner of your own mental show, an infinite performance that leads nowhere. Do you know why this enemy is so dangerous? Because it's silent. It doesn't scream. It doesn't present itself as an obvious threat. It disguises itself as logical reasoning, caution, constructive self-criticism. But it's not constructive. It's destructive. Only it does it so slowly that you don't notice until it's too late. It convinces you that waiting a little longer is sensible, that doubting is fine, that postponing your dreams for prudence is the most responsible thing to do. And meanwhile, life slips through your fingers. I want you to think about this with all the brutality it deserves. Every day you spend trapped in this internal war. You're giving away your time, your energy, your life to an enemy that doesn't exist outside your mind. You're handing over your days to an illusion. You're mortgaging your existence for fear of facing what's on the other side of your internal conflict zone. And here comes the part that will freeze your blood. The other side is not an abyss. It's freedom. It's the possibility of living without the constant weight of mental self-destruction. But to get there, you must cross the minefield of your own deceits. The good news is that the minds aren't real. They are mental constructs that you can deactivate if you dare to see them for what they are: sophisticated excuses disguised as protection. You need to understand that this internal war isn't one with more resistance, but with surrender. Not the surrender that means defeat, but the one that means acceptance. Accepting that the battle was never necessary to begin with. Accepting that you're not broken, that you don't need to fix yourself. You just need to stop fighting against your own existence. So here's a question that can't wait. How much longer will you postpone your own peace? How much longer will you live as a hostage of your own mental weapons? The war you wage within yourself only ends when you decide to put them down. Not before. Now listen carefully, because we're getting to the point where most people would blink, but you won't blink, because what I'm going to tell you now is the outcome. No one dares to tell you the final twist in this story that you thought you understood until today. The internal war you've been waging is not going to stop with a moment of inspiration or with a motivational quote that you'll forget tomorrow morning. Remember, this war stops the day you understand that you don't need to destroy your internal enemy, because that enemy is nothing but a part of you that is screaming something you haven't wanted to hear. It's not there to defeat you. It's there to wake you up. That fear, that self-criticism, that constant voice that sabotages you, it's not your enemy, it's your distorted reflection. It's the primitive version of your survival instinct, out of control, hyperactive, unleashed. It's your mind trying to protect you from a danger that doesn't exist, and since it doesn't know how to help you, it hurts you from within. Do you see it now? It's not an executioner, it's a desperate guardian. That's why you can't win with violence, but you can't surrender to it either. What you must do is the strangest thing of all. Understand it. Understand that you don't have to obey it, that you can listen to that voice without kneeling before it. True freedom, the one very few know, is not absolute silence in your mind that doesn't exist. True freedom is learning to move despite the noise it's building. Despite the echo of your own doubts, it's advancing knowing that your ghosts will always be there, but that you no longer belong to them. Because here's a truth that could change you forever. Fear doesn't extinguish, it's overcome by walking alongside it. Insecurity doesn't disappear, it dilutes every time you choose to act despite it. And the internal war isn't won, it's transcended. Look at yourself. You've made it this far, you've endured every word, every uncomfortable truth, every scalpel that has dissected the excuses you've been accumulating for years. What does that tell you? That you've already started the path, even if you haven't realized it. That there's a part of you that's tired of comforting lies and has started looking for the discomfort that leads to growth. That your purest essence is tired of surviving and has finally started to want to live. And that's the greatest victory you can obtain. The simple fact of realizing that you don't have to keep shooting arrows at yourself, that you can stop fighting with yourself and start building with yourself. That you can turn your worst enemy into your greatest ally. That dark part of you, the one you see today as a burden, can be the spark of your greatest strength. Because whoever has learned to survive themselves is ready for any battle the outside world presents. Now I offer you something. A small action that, if you do it, will be the first real step out of this war. Leave a comment under this video with the phrase, "Today I saw my true enemy." That's it, no explanation. No context. Let it be there like a cryptic message for whoever dares to read it and maybe sees themselves reflected. It will be our secret code, the echo of those who have begun to wake up. And if this video has resonated with you, if you felt that even for an instant these words were made for you, subscribe to the channel. Because what we've unearthed today is just the surface. There's much more to discover, to break, to rebuild. This journey doesn't end here. We've just begun. Before you go, listen to me carefully. Don't look for peace outside when you haven't signed it inside. Make today the most important pact of your life. Look your internal reflection in the face and say, "I will not destroy you, I will listen to you. I will not fear you, I will walk with you." Because that's true mastery. It's not absolute silence. It's the symphony amid the chaos. And now say goodbye to your old version, not with pity, but with respect. It's been part of you, but it doesn't define you. You are much more than the sum of your internal battles. You are the architect of your freedom. Turn off this video, yes. Turn it off, but when you do it with a promise that this won't be another piece of content you forget among the tangle of empty stimuli, that when you close the screen, you'll open the door to your own mind, and finally, for the first time in a long time, you'll begin to walk without the weight of war on your shoulders. And always remember this: true victory doesn't make a sound. It's felt in the silence of a mind that no longer needs to fight to exist. I'll see you in the next video. Or maybe not, because if you do the work right, you'll be too busy living to look back.